Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big League Breakdowns. We have another quick video coming your way. It's just me and Will tonight, as we had some breaking news in the MLB with the trade of Dylan Cease to the Padres. Also, some injury news happening with last year's Cy Young winner Gerrit Cole, and also Devin Williams. But let's get right into this one. Again, I'm going to try to keep this short. Will Gerrit Cole is expected to miss 1 to 2 months with an elbow injury. I don't think they know exactly what it is with the elbow. They said there is no ligament tear, but that is a
Mhm.
big blow for the Yankees. Obviously, I mean, what does this mean for them to start the season?
The one question for sure with the Yankees pitching staff entering spring training was that they had a lot of potential with their pitchers, but health was always the issue. And the one guy that seemed like they could rely on was Gerrit Cole.
Yep.
So now with Cole under the knife for at least the next month or two, this Yankees pitching staff suddenly is a gigantic question mark with opening day only a few weeks away. Do they still have the talent to compete in the division? Most likely. But if the injury bug hits them anymore with Rodon again,
Yeah.
or Cortez or Stroman, this Yankees team could fall fast in the tough AL East.
Yeah, I mean, now you look at that Marcus Sherman trade or acquisition rather, and it's nice to have a guy like that, to come in and potentially be your ace at least for the first month or two of the season. However, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Garrett Cole is an irreplaceable player, not irreplaceable player, and you know, again, this is a guy coming off a Cy Young um, year. He is going to give you, those wins early in the season where, maybe a guy like Sherman is taking some time to work it out. He's in a new place. He's in, not for nothing, New York, a very stressful market, and maybe it does take him some
Mm-hmm.
time. I know he was with the Mets and stuff, but takes, get some time to um, settle in. And, Rodon's there, Cortez, but now you're looking at a starting rotation that's just a lot different than what it did when you have Cole in there. You kind of go from like one of the top, I think, starting fives in the league to now it's like
Mm-hmm.
without him it kind of looks a little bit bleak. Now, one of the names that was out there that they were looking to pursue was Dylan Cease. It's kind of funny. We
Mm-hmm.
were just talking about him on the show the other night, and then like at this injury happens with Cole. Automatically, the
Mm-hmm.
rumors of him going to the Yankees flare up, and then like boom, this team's rumored. This team's rumored. He ends up going to the Padres, and I think that's a really good acquisition for the Padres.
Oh, I think it's exactly the thing the Padres needed to put them back truly as maybe the favorite for the last wild card spot. The biggest question for the Padres was definitely their pitching, both with health and experience.
Yeah.
The team didn't have much beyond Darvish and Musgrove, though King will probably give them good numbers. He has never had a full season as a relief pitcher. So having someone like Cease not only gives them front end of the rotation abilities, he has also been healthy the last 3 years, and that is a big thing for this Padres staff who had to deal with Darvish and Musgrove being injured last year. So with that, I think it's in my own predictions, I had the Giants a game ahead of the Padres and probably getting the third wild card spot. And I'd say now this is the move that put the Padres over the Giants as being favorites for third in the division and probably the third wild card.
Right, and I think in our preview for them, that was the big thing was the pitching. Like you
Mm-hmm.
look at their lineup, and it's solid. Like they are obviously missing Soto, being one of the big
Yeah.
players they lost. But like it was like okay, pitching. They don't re-sign Blake Snell, um, who we've kind of been hearing rumors of him to the Yankees for a long time. Does now that solidify it? I don't think there's anything today that furthered that point, but we'll see. But now you go from a rotation that looks like you, Darvish, Musgrove, King, and then question marks at 4 and 5 to now you slot Cease into that 1 or 2 slot. Now you have Darvish, Cease, Musgrove, and Michael King, and that's looking a lot better. Your fifth spot is a wild card kind of spot, but it's a better situation than you were just in. And uh, you know, for as bad as the White Sox have been for the last couple of years,
Mhm.
Cease really has been, the standout on that team. And I think he's
Mhm.
going to do really well in San Diego. I really do think, this is one of the perfect spots for him. We had talked about the Padres just need to add that one more piece in the rotation, and they get it in Dylan Cease. And I think, again, it's good for both sides. Going back to the point real quick about Blake Snell, though, I think we've talked about this at nauseum. I feel like this. I mean, if you're the Yankees, he's right there. Like, you have to consider. I mean, at this point, like, I think they have to sign him. Like, I just you need to bring somebody in. I don't think they're going to be comfortable with this for the first month, and not for nothing. I still think they wanted to add another big arm anyway. So, I mean, what are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
One thing I find funny with the whole different moves or things that have happened recently is how everything still feels connected back to the Yankees.
Yeah,
Because going over that Padres rotation, their 3, 4, and 5 guys, I believe the 3, 4, and 5 guys were all Yankees last year. King definitely was. Vasquez, I believe, had some games in the majors last year. It was mostly a minor leaguer, and I do believe their projected fifth starter, at least used to be their projected fifth starter, was a Johnny Brito.
yeah,
I believe he was also in the Yankee system. So there's 3 Yankees potential pitchers that they moved on in favor of bringing in Marcus Stroman, and now their situation is even worse than arguably maybe it was at the start of last year because they have maybe no depth now behind their initial big four guys, I suppose, or at least the hopeful big four.
mm,
So their fifth pitcher is probably Luke Weaver at the moment, who isn't a bad pitcher, but he's had definitely some up and down results in his limited time in the majors. So if they want to make sure they don't fall off a cliff in the division, because the Rays figure out something always, it's hard to
yeah,
go against them, and the Blue Jays are still very much riding that young core with it that had also strong pitching numbers ERA wise last year. If you get Blake Snell, you're probably guaranteeing yourself at least a few wins extra. I mean, you're definitely getting a few wins extra than what you would have got with Luke Weaver. There's no doubt about it.
yeah,
But to say if the first 2 months of the season, if Cole pitches 11 games and your team wins 8 of them, you're probably only winning about 3 or 4 of them potentially with Weaver. With Snell, you're getting at least back half of those games, if not all the games you would have gotten under Cole. It would be you lose one Cy Young, you got to bring in another.
yeah.
So but the Yankees are going to have to commit money, and I don't know if that's. I wonder if the Cease attempting to trade for Cease was kind of the Yankees tipping their hand as we want that extra guy, but we don't want the commitment
Yeah.
lengthwise or money wise. So now with Cease gone, unless they want to go really low budget and go with probably the third best pitcher out there, which is Michael Lorenzen, they're going to have to drop some big fat stacks of cash again
Yeah.
if they want to bring someone in
I
to help save the pitching rotation.
I mean, when you're talking about the Yankees, obviously not afraid to spend money, and it's like even you know when Cole comes back, I think we kind of talked about this before, and we talked about if the Phillies were to acquire Blake Snell, like having that
Mhm.
big three in your rotation, like three guys that you can go out there and you can guarantee that they're gonna win most of their games, and obviously when playoff time comes, they get really
Mhm.
important. It's the same thing with the Yankees. Like I think, regardless of the Cole injury, I think adding Snell or Montgomery, we've talked about them too a lot, but you add it's Cole, Snell, Stroman now as your starting three, and then you round it out with Rodon and Cortez. I mean
Mhm.
that right there is like such a great lineup. But now I think the pressure is on, and this is like the worst news to hear if you're a Yankees fan, obviously. Not
Mhm.
to mention Aaron Judge had gotten hurt. Now I think the MRI was clean on that, and he's just gonna be out a few days. But like
Mhm.
not not great for Yankees
This
fans
is
right now.
looking like the good old Yankees of the last few years where their big guys just get hurt and they're
Yeah.
putting something together to stay alive.
Yeah, and after missing the playoffs last year, obviously, looking to get back, and this is not the start that they wanted for that. Um, and last thing we want to touch on is Devin Williams will be out 3 months. The closer for the roughly 3 months. The closer for the Brewers with a back fracture. This is big for the Brewers. We just did our NL Central preview a few days ago, and we were all down on the Brewers. A lot of it because of their starting pitching. And one of the things you look at about their bullpen is okay, they still have Williams back there to rely on. They're the Brewers bullpen isn't what it used to be like a few years back. I mean, a few years ago they really were one of the best bullpens. I think it's dropped off a little bit now, but now you lose your big horse in the back. I mean, this is a devastating blow for the Brewers.
They could have the same ripple effect team wise as the Mets did last year when they lost Edwin
Mm-hmm.
Diaz prior to the start of the season. Once Diaz was injured, the Mets bullpen became really exposed, and the pitching, arguably more than anything, is what really cost the Mets season and basically for them to quit halfway through. The Brewers were already, as you said, for us, the bottom of the division in all three of our predictions. Still don't know how we all agreed on that. Um, but Devin Williams, not only does that hurt the team this year with what they're going to do, there was talks about, well, if the Brewers aren't competing at the trade deadline, what are the odds they would trade Devin Williams, who has one more year of team control after this year? And trading him is probably not going to be a thing if he's out for at least half the season because the team won't know what they're going to get. So this Brewers team right now is going to have to find some magic in that pitching staff because there is really nothing to look forward to other than they've lost a lot of players, they lost
Yeah.
their manager, and now they're losing their closer, and they are a shell of the team they once were.
Well, it's also like you don't have Josh Hader there anymore either. The other guy, I mean, they had him and Josh Hader. It's like okay, 1-2 punch. They can rely
Mm-hmm.
on both of them. This is Devin Williams' show now. It was last year as
Mm-hmm.
well, but it's like if he goes down, which he has for a significant amount of
Mm-hmm.
time, you are put in a big hole. Like you just,
Right,
I
their
don't.
back end
I
is.
mean, I don't know where they go. They're kind of talking about the article on MLB Trade Rumors about who can replace them or what the plan will be for them going forward. Obviously the Brewers coming off of a division title are going to have high hopes for this year still, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously they believe that they can be a playoff team. So you know maybe do they make a move for somebody? I kind of doubt it to be honest, but what do they end up doing back there will be the question. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I think this is interesting for them as well because if the first month or two of the season don't go great for them with this injury and whatever else happens, then you kind of start to have a conversation about the direction of the Brewers and what they want to do for the rest of the year because
Mm-hmm.
again, as we thought, they might be a fringe team. We'll have to see. It's really going to come down to how good the NL Central wants to be this year. If the Cardinals are going to have a resurgence, how good will the Cubs be? And then if the Reds and Pirates compete this year. So we'll have to see. But again, big loss for them. And Will, any other thoughts on any three of the matters before we get out of here?
If I were the Yankees, I would personally look more towards a reunion with Jordan Montgomery than Blake Snell. I have not heard Montgomery's name with the Yankees, but Montgomery has been the more consistent pitcher over the last few years. Blake Snell does not pitch deep into games. He does not. He can have really great years. He's now won a Cy Young in both leagues, but he can have some pretty bad years with ERAs in the upper fours or even approaching low fives.
Mm.
So I feel like that's why Snell is taking forever to get off the market. It's because teams don't want to commit to someone that's that irreliable, even if he can be really, really good when he's at his best. But the Yankees, I think more than anyone right now, of any of the issues that have been going on, they need to fill that hole quick,
Yeah.
or else they could be out of competition even, and it's kind of hard to believe when you trade for Soto.
Well, look, they have the privilege of playing the AL East, and again, one of the better divisions in baseball. You can't lag behind, and of course, Gerrit Cole going out is going to be a big blow. Um, and yeah, I think just for me to wrap up this video, I really like Dylan Cease going to the Padres. You know, they lost a couple arms last year. Michael Walker being one of them that was so good. And you just kind of need a guy like this to come in as well and be able to give you innings. And again, now you have, I think, a respectable starting rotation now. And
Mm-hmm.
with, I still truly believe Tatis is going to have a huge year. I think the Padres could be a team that does make some noise and maybe surprise some people. But that is all for us here at Big League Breakdowns. We will be back next week with our NL and AL East predictions if more news doesn't break before then. But that is all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.